Was I supposed to okay something? Oh,
It is
apologies.
now. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry. I pressed it earlier, but I think you needed to okay it because you were
okay.
host.
I think I've
Sorry.
okayed it now. It's okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Are we all right now? We keep going?
yeah. Keep cracking, keep crapping.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
working
great.
away there now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I was sorry really I didn't do that because the child in me wanted to do that and was never brave enough to do that, to swim from one of those piers to the other. I know that little girl I'm looking at down there, Edel, did it lots of times. She was a better swimmer than me when we were small. But I think so anyway, Edel, I think. But anyway, so we spent a lot of time down there and we I suppose you dreamt about. We heard that there was a couple of people had swam as far as the Corking Islands. We didn't believe it, but we heard it had happened. But it was just wasn't a thing back then. In fact, open water swimming, is only become a thing in the last 20 years, hasn't it? I mean, it just wasn't a thing before that. So anyway, what was my motivation for the swim? I was retired. I'm a primary school teacher and principal, so I had time on my hands. But the other time is that sands of time were running out a little bit, so getting a little bit older, and it was time to get focused on something. So they were the reasons why I took on the challenge, and uh, why Pieta and KBG. These are the two charities that I was swimming. We were swimming for Pieta House. The reason we did I decided on Pieta House was as a school principal in socially deprived areas of Dublin. I saw awful devastation from suicide and the horrible devastation that was left and the look in people's eyes of losing a loved one and not being able to answer the questions as to why. And I just wanted to be able to help out there if we could at all. And luckily, we were able to help them with a good bit of money in the end. And KBG, the reason I raised looking for money for KBG was my sister is living in New York. She's a godmother of a boy who's been diagnosed with KBG, which is a very rare, only 1,000 cases in the world at the moment. First diagnosed case was 1997. So it's a congenital disease leading to all sorts of global delays and all sorts of problems because of that. So Valerie asked me to swim for it so we could raise awareness of it more than raise money for it. So 10% of the money went to KBG and the rest went to Pieta. So that was the reasoning behind why we picked those charities. When well, I first of all had the idea when I was doing a bit of I retired in September 22 and I did a bit of swimming and a bit of golf after that. And as I was swimming away, I couldn't run anymore and I just needed some sort of a challenge and to keep fit as well. And I mentioned it at the Ryder Cup. I was in Rome with my wife and mentioned it to her in September 2023 that I was going to swim the Shannon. And she wasn't delighted. She wasn't delighted. She had a lot of questions and a lot of yeah doubts, and so it didn't have the same. When I said it out loud, it didn't have the same effect as I thought it was going to have. Put it that way. But so that led to a little delay. I was going to do it a year later in September 24, but no, we didn't do that. I wanted to go then for the date of the I don't know, has anybody done anything for Darkness into Light? That's a Pieta House initiative where you walk or run or do something. So I was going to start it on at Darkness into Light, but that's in May. And somebody who knows better about open water swimming than me said that'll be too cold for you, Aidan, because I don't like cold water. So it would have been too cold in the Shannon. May 25 was out. So I decided on at the time that it would be the warmest, according to my sister Edwina, and September the 1st, 2025, it was to be. And that's the date that we picked. So that was the when. How were we going to do it? Well, obviously, I needed to research about it and the wonders of the interweb, as you say, the www. And I looked into it, found out I wasn't the first person. I thought I would be the first person. That was the initial motivation to be the first person, but I wasn't, and I wasn't the first Irish person either. And that picture there is a picture of uh, the very first Irish fella to do it, and he has helped me an awful lot. Paddy McDonnell, he's from Burr, and he did it in the year 2017, 2018, 2018. He swam the Shannon. He was the first Irish person to do it. So he helped me an awful lot. I've been obviously that was me visiting him to pick his brains. Very important if you're going to do something like this. If somebody has done it before, obviously get all the help you can get. Also, you get your little yellow book and you make your lists to do this, to do this, to do this. Uh, it's important and vital that as a swimmer, or if you want to perfect anything or do something that takes a long time. You need to get the technique right. And I was very lucky to find a coach online who coached me. I would have sent him a video every week of me swimming in the local swimming pool, making sure you didn't get any pictures of anybody else in it, or you'd be in trouble. And I sent him a video just like this. This is how it goes, and he would turn down that. He would let me know what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong. I'm looking at that video there, and I know that was an early video because I can see quite a few things I was doing wrong in that. So he um, he helped me out there big time. I don't know why that went to right. So and then we're nearly getting going now. Obviously the crew was vital. This was my lists in my little yellow book, and I needed people who were available and who were going to be uh, available for that amount of time. We didn't know how long it was going to take. It could have taken this fast. Paddy McDonald had done it in 15 days. What I was hoping to do it in around the same amount of time, but if the weather was going to be bad, it could have taken a lot longer. So I had to find people who were going to commit to a good bit longer. So obviously, it would never have happened if my sister Valerie hadn't agreed to lead it. She came home from New York on the 23rd of August and went back on the 23rd of September. So it had to be done within that period of time because she had her flight bought. And it was great when I said it to Dad. Dad wasn't having anything except he was going to be there. Uh, and 87 years young, flying it, no problem at all. He wouldn't let anybody else touch the steering wheel the whole time we were swimming. We were swimming for 15 days altogether. We were uh, oh yeah, swimming for 15 days altogether. So then Dad and then my sister Leanne was great. Leanne committed to it totally as well. And a good friend of mine, Mick, who's a total landlubber, but he was up for a new adventure and just retired and had his own camper van, which was great to have that as well. So Mick came in the camper van, and the super sub Mary, who was very, very important to have somebody there who was ready to step in when it was necessary, and it obviously was. You'll find out later on why it was on numerous occasions. So we had the plan, Paddy McDonald as our backup, and then Carl O'Donnell was the training. But it's very important as well to get your body right. And I had a physio called Tony Carberry who I went to every 2 weeks, and he kept me going. And thankfully got us through it. We weren't sure, was my body going to hang up, hold together for it? But you just have to sometimes just go for it and hope for the best and get ready, feel that you're ready, and then do it. So then, obviously, the whole thing about social media, Facebook page, Instagram pages, who's going to post daily, setting up the idonate.ie. I have to thank Clara Moylan, my niece, for that lovely banner she made, and that was all over the place. And because if you're going to do it and you're only going to do it once, you might as well do it right. So we tried our best to promote it as much as we could. And podcasts in my local gym. I'm in a very big gym here, the one that I did swimming in, and did podcasts there and newspaper articles in local papers in Dublin and in the Guardian as well. Some of you might have seen us in the Guardian. So we were ready to go. Is that stopping on me? Why is doing that? What did I do now? Oh, oh no, 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 no. Don't do this, Aiden. Hold on. Just see what I'm doing now. Right. Okay. So we're nearly there. We're nearly in the water. There's a lot of planning to do. The actual swimming part is probably the easiest part, and I found that in the end. But a spanner in the works was we remember I mentioned to you earlier on that we wanted the Miranda to do it with us. So if you look at this map here, up near the north there, you'll see Drumshambo, and we got a notice from the Waterways Ireland on whatever date. I don't know. Do you see the date? There was the 20th of, oh, there, the 18th of August. They said that they were closing Drumshambo Lock until the middle of September to do necessary work. So obviously the Miranda couldn't get up past Drumshambo then. So we had to come up with plan B to get me down from Dowra to Drumshambo. So we had to canoe across Loch Allen instead of the Miranda, and that was okay. But it was just the whole idea of wanting the Miranda to do the journey with me, because the Miranda we feel is a member of our family as much as anybody else. So almost humanizing her. Uh, so that was ready, and here's steady. Here comes Wobbs arriving over from New York City with her t-shirts that she bought over, those lovely ones, the night in the Shannon. Uh, so that was on the 23rd of August. So myself and Wobbs went to Acres Lake for training and final planning. Acres Lake is as far as Miranda could go up. It's just before, I don't know, has anybody been up that far, but it's just before Drumshambo, just before Loch Allen. And so Miranda got as far as there. Lovely spot to visit if you'd like a to find out another part of the Shannon that you don't know. So we had the food list and the job list, and my daughter Martha arrived for some canoe training because that was we needed a couple of people in canoes at that stage, uh, because Miranda wasn't going to be there with us. The 31st of August, the crew were assembled the day before the start. Monday morning, 1st of September was to be the start. So we got together. It was a lot of rain all that week. I don't know, do you remember the end of August? But it was a lot of rain. It was very dry at the beginning of August, a beautiful month. And then the last week, it turned. And our first meeting, we had a lovely, nice first meeting and set the tone. Thanks to my daughter Martha for doing that. She was only coming for the canoeing day the next day, and then she was busy for September, so she couldn't stay with us. But she got us in order and said, you have to have this, you have to have that, you have to have, and so we basically had a plan every day for the what went well each day, what we could improve, and so we basically kept that every day, and that was really important that we sit down as a family, and you leave out the family part. We're a crew and we're a team, and we've got to make sure we do this job. So that was important every day. There's the spanner in the works. The medium to long range forecasts weren't good. We were watching forecasts all the way at that stage. There was a small fella called, well, he's not small, a fella called Paul Little. He's not small, despite his name. But I don't know, have you heard of him, this guy, Paul Little? I was told a few days before he started his swim on the 10th of August that there was this guy who's going to swim the Shannon in 8 days. And to say that it burst our bubble is an understatement. He's half my age, and he had the Lockheed Triathlon Club behind him, and he did a brilliant job. But it was a bit of a downer to see that this was going to happen. He was getting brilliant weather all the time as well. I went up to Dowra to see him start swimming. And to see him off, I got talking to him and all, and to support him as well. And it was amazing that it was a small little stream in Dowra, and they were worried about being able to swim at all between. It was 9 kilometers from Dowra down to the top of Loch Allen, and that stage it was only a little stream, and unfortunately, all where it says rain, 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 the spanner in the works. By the time we started our swim, it wasn't a small stream anymore. Things had changed. Here's the first morning. I'm going to try and turn it down because there's a curse word in here soon after it starts by me. So I'll try not to have that. Okay. Stop. How can I? Okay, so that's if you look in the background there of that video, that's Valerie on the left hand side, my daughter Martha on the right. Sorry, my wife Mary, that's Dad with fancy hat on. It's pouring rain at that stage. And if you look in the background, you'll see the river, that little stream has turned into a little bit of a torrent. One of the locals said it's not safe to get into it. We were after coming from Dublin and getting ourselves ready for this, and we said, well, no, we're going. So we went, and that's the first morning. On the left hand side there, you see Mick, the landlubber, getting ready, coming out of his camper van. In the middle, we're just getting into the river, and on the right hand side, that's myself, Valerie, Ger came down with the van and moved all the canoes with us, and he was a canoeist as well, but he came along, and Martha was there as well. So we thought we'd have a nice, easy canoe down the river. There's Martha and Connell, being Lough Look, na Posh D. So but we didn't. There's Martha a few minutes before things started to go wrong. And literally, Ger and herself had capsized already after about a minute in the water. It was much stronger than we thought it was going to be. But a few minutes after that picture was taken of Martha, we were flying down the river. I was saying, oh, this is easy. It's no problem. We came across two trees. fallen across each other, comme ça, like just across, and it pinned Martha, Ger, and Valerie to them. So they were pinned side on, broadside, and I was up to my chest in water, and it was trying to pull me underneath. It wasn't fun, and they were sitting there stuck, and I was standing there wondering how are we going to get through this. There was no gap. Usually there'd be a little gap in the branches, but it just wasn't. It was just so heavy, the foliage. And I was wearing the wetsuit you saw, might have noticed earlier on, is a €300 wetsuit. It's thin in some parts and thick in other parts, and it's the bee's knees, but it's not made for climbing through trees that are across little rivers. So anyway, there was nothing for it because the bank was too steep. There was nothing for it, but I had to climb up in the tree, try and break some branches and get them through one by one. So I did that, and I got Valerie through just about. I thought she was getting scraped all down her body, but she managed to get through, and she had hold on downstream, just held on to the branches of the trees. I got Ger through, and just as I was going back to get Martha, then it pulled me under, and I just went straight under the water. And the power of it, I was getting tired, I suppose, of at that stage, and I thought I wasn't going to come up again. I didn't know, but I got up, back up, and Ger held on to me, and took a second to recover from that. I went back to get Martha again, and she was broadside, as I said, but I was pulling her canoe and pulling her around, but the canoe capsized, and she started to go under. Now, for me, I just had the wetsuit on, and I got back up again. But for Martha, she had her life jacket as well, and she was going under a part of the tree that was full of foliage. And I think if she had gone under there, who wasn't coming up the other side. And it was a moment that we weren't expecting about 15 minutes into the swim. And I roared at her, and she held on, and I roared at her, and I just about pulled her up, and she got her up onto the tree. We got her capsized canoe down through it and got her into it again. And 15 minutes later, this is us glad to be alive. Uh, we sat there, and that's us. That look at me, I'm smiling. I don't know what I'm smiling at the banana about, but I'm in total shock at that stage. And I'm saying to myself, what have we done? And so we get down the river, we fly down the rest of the river, and well, there's rapids and all sorts. But then we go into that's about 9 kilometers, 10 kilometers completed, and we go into the lake, and the lake is force five against us, southerly wind straight into our faces. We canoe about a kilometer across it, get and meet Mick and the family, and there's Dad, everybody there. Leanne is ready to take over from or sorry, from Martha. Martha has to go, and so Leanne is going to take over from her. So I'm tired already, and I've got cramps, and I'm wondering what have I done to all these people to bring them here. But uh, we we went out again, and we didn't manage to go very far the rest of that day. We had problems with the canoe, filling up with water, and we knocked it on the head. So instead of one day for Loch Allen, it took us 2 days. But this is the second day, and a small video of Loch Allen the second day. And that's early in the day. The wind did get up earlier on, but we had a nice enough crossing. What we did the second day, it was just one canoe, Valerie and me. And we got through. And this is a video of us arriving in Acres Lake later that day, a bit shaken. I think I was definitely a bit stressed and emotional, but it was also emotional to get to the Miranda. We were emotional to get to the Miranda. And this is what the journey was supposed to be about, the Miranda and us swimming down the Shannon. So that's us getting around the back of Miranda, stern of Miranda, and arriving in Acres Lake. Dad's hand there and welcoming us in. So then we could get on to the real thing once we got to the Miranda. So just south of Acres Lake, there's a canal that gets you to Leitrim. I don't know, do you know what? You go through, what are the names? Oh, uh, yeah, it's a while since I was there, but there are two locks. And the next day, if you look on the bridge here, there's Mary's cousins are there. They visited us that day, and we had a lovely day that day. Made good progress, uh, and the next day, then we from Ruski, we went to Leitrim, had lunch in Leitrim, and from Leitrim down to Carrick on Shannon. So stayed in Carrick on Shannon that night. Look at the beautiful sunrise the next morning in Carrick. So next day was Carrick to Rooski, 25 kilometres, a long way. And look who came to meet us in the evening. That's Paul Little, the guy who swam the Shannon just before me. Fair dues to him. He gave us a lot of advice and was great that day to me. Uh, if you look at this, you'll probably appreciate this more than the other groups. I've done this talk with a few other groups and had to explain a lot of things to them, but I won't have to explain them to this group. If you look at the bow of the Miranda there, the picture on the right hand side, the charity swim sign is upside down, and on the other side is just an arrow, because if you look at the picture on the left hand side, that's me swimming. I swim and I always breathe to the right when I'm swimming, so I'm always to port of Miranda. And all the boats that were passing us that were coming upstream wanted to pass the port. And we didn't want them to pass the port because I'm very small. And here's a picture of what it looks like. That's me in the water. There's Dad driving, and there's Valerie keeping an eye on me, telling Dad to go left or right or whatever, straight ahead, slow down, speed up. But all the boats wanted to pass port to port, and we couldn't let them because I was on the port side. So that the others were up on the bow trying to get them to turn, and so sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. So that was Ruski. Then we got down to Ballyleague, and uh, yeah, I skipped the page that we went to Lanesborough and Ballyleague, but on day 6 we went from Ballyleague to Licaro. I was supposed to swim that day down as far as Hudson Bay, but this is what Loughree gave us that day, and I realised that I can't swim in those conditions. You have to change as a swimmer. You might notice my head is very high in the water because I don't want to be swimming. Sorry, I don't want to be swallowing the water and filling up. And you can see that was a big problem for me. And that day I had to stop. We went as far as Lacaro, um, and called it a day. Next morning we got up at dawn in Lacaro. That's some picture of us in Lacaro, beautiful in Lacaro. And the next morning at dawn, that would be, oh, what time would that be? Before 6 o'clock? Yeah, slightly before 6 o'clock. Fixing the goggles, and away we go again. We were trying to sneak down Loughree before Loughree winds woke up, and we actually got away with it. We got as far as Hudson Bay that day, and the next day we're passing. Some of you might recognise. Uh, we just did the short trip from Hudson Bay into Athlone the next day. As I say, I was born and bred in Athlone, uh, so know Loughree very well, and it was very emotional going into Loughree and passing Loughree and then getting into Hudson Bay that day, and meeting cousins, and it was great all the way along. Great show of people to meeting us along the way. Every day there was people meeting us. So the pictures that were taken on the way in, you'll recognise that bridge from before. That was the one that was in the postcard earlier on. And this is me going past them. You probably know the Viking ship. What's his name? Paddy is Mick's Viking ship. So that was me in good spirits after arriving in to Athlone. This is an important spot. We knew we were nearly halfway, but when we passed this spot, we knew we were halfway. Paul Little told me the number of the buoy, of the navigation mark. You know, all the navigation marks have numbers now. They didn't used to. But we were halfway here, and what could you do in the water? How could you celebrate? Well, do a flip of some sort. I don't know. Just turn around, and away you go. That's what I did. So we were halfway there. We were on our way to Shannon Bridge that day. We passed Clonmacnoise, and uh, it was becoming a bit repetitive at this stage. And 4 hours is a long time in the water. And what I needed was something to break it up. And I found out that the thing to do was to get my wife or whoever's on board to perform for me. Now, every half hour, yeah, I know it's sideways. I can't change it, Telly. But that zombie from Mary and Mick were playing zombie. Mick plays the guitar as well. But the funny thing about that is I couldn't hear them at all. I just knew when the guitar came out that it was a half an hour gone. So that just kept me going. Because when you're in the water, you're very sensorily deprived. You can't see properly, not through those goggles. You've got earplugs, you've got nose clip, and you basically are in your own little world. And that's why Valerie was vitally important because she kept. Sometimes I would just drift away from the Miranda, and we had hand signals to get me back and all that. But the singing was brilliant and helped a lot to get through. Oh, I'll go. So here's feeding time. You might wonder, how did I get through it? How did I get through 4 hours? When I was training at the start, I would do 3 hour sessions because I did before I got my coach. I do 3 hour sessions, and I go home and I have to sleep for 4 hours after that because I was so tired. I was talking to the people who did it before me, and they said the vital thing to do is just keep eating little bits. So every hour, so on the half hour I got the song, and on the hour I got the food. So Valerie would throw a drink out to me, some sort of nutrition in the drink, and then I'd have a banana or a bar or something or other. And as it got colder, I got a cup of tea as well. So every hour that would happen. It'd be thrown out to me from the veranda and keep going. Or Nini would throw it out at me as well. So the next day was from Melik to Portumna. Was that Melik? That was what one? Okay. How did we get down to Melik? Okay. Uh, some people here might know Dorothy Ryan Purcell. Dorothy, her grandfather designed this bridge in Portumna, and so her and her friends were on Portumna Bridge when I went underneath it, and it was great to see them. Again, the weather wasn't great. And we were having some issues, but we pushed on. We got under the bridge in Portumna. We looked at the weather forecast. Hold on, let me see. And we got some photographs taken with Dorothy and her family. And then we did this. We decided that it was time to take a break. I look very happy in the picture. So yeah, we got to the northern tip of Lough Derg. We got to Portumna, under the bridge in Portumna. We knew we were facing a 40-kilometre long lake. We knew what the weather forecast was. There was a regatta in Drumineer, a junior regatta that weekend, I think. I was supposed to be in Glass on the Friday and then into Drumineer on the Saturday. But there was a regatta that was cancelled in Drumineer. Some of you might know what that was, but it was very windy that weekend, and I knew from Lough that I wasn't going to be able to swim that. And I knew I was going to be saved because Nini was going to come down with us after that. She's going to save the day. Isn't that right, Nini? She was on her way down. But I wasn't happy. But we took a break, and as you say, we took 4 days off, and it actually was lucky that we did because next day I was in A&E. Um, I started to cough up blood, and I rang my doctor on the way back to Dublin on the Friday night, and he said go to A&E. So spent the day in Tala in A&E, and they told me I had some sort of infection. It wasn't too bad. There's only two reasons you would cough blood. One is lung cancer, and the other is some sort of infection, and you have a burst blood vessel. And that's what I think I did. I coughed a lot in the water. So really things happen for a reason, don't they? And I think that break was what got me through the rest. If that hadn't happened, so I can blame the weather and say it was because of the southwesterly force 4 and force 5 and force 6. But I was happy with the rest. So then on day 12, which would have been Wednesday evening, isn't that right, Nini? Yeah, I think that was a Wednesday evening. We we took a short little spin with Nini on board from Portumna. Look at the wind; it's still straight in my face. I'm starting to get a bit annoyed at that stage, and say, right stuff like it's unfair. But anyway, we got down as far as Portumna Harbour that night, and the next morning we went out very early. This is about 5:30. This is about 5:30. Valerie is. Oh, I'm going too quick. Sorry, I'll go back. How did I do that? I went through a couple there. I just touched it and why am I not? Why can't I? Oh yeah, I can. If I'll have to go slowly back if you don't mind. Yeah, right. That's us heading off at about 5:30 in the morning from Portumna. Uh, um, yeah, I said that myself. Yeah, so that was me getting Valerie getting me ready. She was putting some Vaseline on me as well. I was getting a lot of chaffing, and nothing you could do about it. So that was quite sore, but it was okay. No big deal. Uh, so a lovely day. We got down to Drummondere. We had to go to Drummondere that day, and so we did. And can we keep moving on? Woohoo! Go on. Oh no, don't stop. Sorry, I'll have to let that video play, I think. So we got the, yeah, so it was quite a distance that day, and lovely in the absolutely beautiful in the morning. Uh, but if you look at the picture there, me coming into Drummondere, it was clearly windy, and it was a crosswind coming into Drummondere. And it did add a little bit onto the journey, but I was determined to come into Drummondere. And I was delighted I did. Look at the welcome I got. It was just fantastic. And thanks to everybody. Donal Whelan, God rest his soul, uh, got everybody together from the Drummond Residents Association. And I see some members from Lochberg Yacht Club are there as well. And some people who are probably here listening to this are in the picture as well. So thanks to everybody who came out. It meant an awful lot. And it was quite emotional, to be honest. So thank you. And I even went to the pub and had a Jameson. And that's Nini in the background. And Kelvin's over in the corner, but Mick is there in the foreground there. Mick had to leave us at that stage. His voice wasn't well, so Mary had to fit in for him. So Mary did a lot of work with making all the dinners and all that stuff that has to be done in the background. There was no cooking really done on Miranda. Mary bought stuff down every day. It was brilliant. Well, every second day or 2 or 3 days, it was fantastic. So she did a huge amount of work, and then had to take over when Mick's wife wasn't well. So thanks, Mary. So the next day, look at the beautiful morning we got in Drummondere. It was gorgeous, and we took off. And I couldn't believe I got to the Mountaineer in about an hour from Drummondere, swimming. And all those times I looked out saying I could never swim, never get out there, couldn't swim from one pier to the other. And here I was heading to Killaloo. It was kind of crazy stuff, you know. So we just kept going. We got us. We did. Let me see. There's Valerie. What's she doing? She feeding me again. Oh, Nini did. Now that proves that Irina was there, and we had a little swim. And on the right hand side is another thing that you might wonder, how did I get out and into the water? And it's something that was exercising my mind for a good while. Was I going to get into the sea nymph, and how hard was that going to be, or was I going to get a little rib? I was at one point I was going to get a little rib from Leanne, but Edwina came up with the answer, and it's the supboard. It was fantastic. I just sort of fell onto that, and then it got my balance, and got up on the Miranda for that. So that's how I got out of the water every day. Um, so this is us coming into Killaloo. Leanne, the outboard gave up on us. Leanne had to row like a good thing all the way into Killaloo. There's videos of it as well, and she's very proud of them. That's me getting into Killaloo. That was a long day. Drummondere to Killaloo. Drummondere to Parker's Point. You feel like you're nearly there, but you're not. Oh my God, it seems forever from Parker's Point to Killaloo. Uh, some people I think who are on this Zoom call, you can see picture on the right hand side. I think you're there. And thank you very much for coming to see us. So then the next day, the last day, to get into Limerick, we were talking to a man called Pat Lysett, who was an absolute legend at the tail race of the Shannon, and he lives there just at the tail race of the Shannon. And if you want to get into Limerick, you have to pass him. He's like the ogre under. Oh no, don't tell him he's like an ogre under. He's not like he's like the genie who gets you through there, because he knows when the tides are turning, and he knows when it's right to do it. So we visited him the next morning, and he brought us all the way in to under the bridges, and he brought us all the way down to under Thomond Bridge, and past the castle, and that's as far as we could go because the tide was out, and it was canoes doing flips, and he was saying later on you're going to swim in here, and I said what? So anyway, later on we went back to him. We left Killaloo about 2 o'clock, down past O'Brien. I got out at O'Brien's Bridge. This is the Partine Weir. Myself and Valerie in an awful shower there at the Partine Weir. Sorry, the Miranda didn't go any further. Miranda went just as far as Killaloo. You wouldn't go any further down than that. We're not going to do that. It just becomes dangerous past that. So got out at O'Brien's Bridge, and oh, I finished it because from Pat Lysett's house to Limerick is only 2.5 kilometres, and some fellas from the local Narwhals swimming club came in with me. This is the moment it actually finished. On a beautiful evening, the 20th of September, about 20 to 8, something like that. And that's Pat Lycett driving the lady there. That's Nini holding the sign. Leanne on taking more photos. Leanne was brilliant all the way through, taking photographs, making stuff up early. Oh, she was fantastic from beginning to end, uh, and it was just very emotional. Let me see, can I get past it? Yeah. So there's the sign that I was talking about, and Mick made the sign, and we just said, okay, way to go, and that's us at the very end. Um, Done. I mean, we gave Pieta that check for 23,000 euro. We gave KBG $3,000, which was about 2,600 euro, something like that, 2,000 something euro. Uh, but what did we learn from it? What did I learn from it? Uh, well, there's a few cliches coming up here. Sorry about that, folks, but there are. There's no I in team, and there certainly isn't. That wouldn't have happened without all those people who gave up so much time and gave their time freely for me to do that swim. And so I thank them all, and I hope I've thanked them all well enough here. The beauty of our countryside, and it was absolutely gorgeous to have the privilege of doing that swim. I didn't see a lot of it, but I was told it was nice. But obviously, we need to preserve our water and our water quality. It's something I didn't talk much about, but like every day I needed to have a can of Coke at the end of my swim. The tummy wasn't 100%. So we need to be very careful about what we're putting into our rivers. Yeah, perfect imperfections. I mean, you have a dream and you go for it, and you know it's not going to be perfect, and you know you're going to there are things going to be in your way, obstacles coming your way, but you keep going, and you have perfect imperfections. You just keep going. So reach for the stars. But just because it's not going to be perfect doesn't mean you don't reach for it. And you have to follow your dreams. If you've got one dream, follow it. And age is only a number. Oh yeah, there it is. Cliches. And just to go for it if you can, and don't be afraid of one or two things that might or might not go wrong. That you just have to grab it. If you have the motivation, you have the will, and you have the people behind you, you can do anything. Cliches can be good as well. And I think that's the end of that. I think I've been talking enough. I'm going to stop sharing, and I thank you for your attention. I apologize if I took too long.
That's fantastic, Aidan. Yeah, I'm going to allow everyone to unmute. Okay, so everybody can unmute themselves now if they want to ask Aidan any questions and
I'm
engage.
dying to hear any questions anybody has, and I'll
Just
pass them on to Nini if there's any hard ones.
just a quick one. The wetsuit, it's obviously a fairly high tech bit of kit, but is
Yeah.
there actually some buoyancy in it, or is it just
Oh yeah.
so you do?
Yeah, well, that was a game changer for me. In my training, I was doing a certain speed, and I knew what I was going to be doing. But once I put the wetsuit on, I was a different animal in the water. So the wetsuit, the thing about it is how it aligns you in the water. So the buoyancy, there's not a huge amount in it, but there was enough to get my legs. I'm a heavy swimmer. I have heavy legs.
Hmm.
When I lie down in the pool, I can't keep my legs off the ground, the bottom of the pool. They won't come up for me. Some people are nice and light, and for them, a wetsuit might be a hindrance because it would have them too high. But for me, the wetsuit was really helpful from the point of view of the bit of heat as well as, but more importantly, the buoyancy. And I was faster swimming in a wetsuit. I thought I'd be slower. I had no idea, but I found out I was faster in a wetsuit.
Yeah, that's great. It's yeah, I can see that it'd be a bit more streamlined or a bit more repelling the water
Yeah,
and stuff like with the
yeah.
boats. And
Yeah, because swimming is all about technique. It's
yeah,
all about
yeah,
technique.
yeah.
And for me, when I was swimming well, and when I got the technique down, basically it's like just going for a brisk walk. Your heartbeat doesn't go above 100, and you just, as long as your technique is right. People are saying, people who can only swim a length of a swimming pool, they say, how can you swim the Shannon, it's just all about getting your breathing right and controlling your breathing, and that's done by your technique.
Yeah, you could really notice that from the early video you showed in the pool to what
Right.
you were actually doing on the swim.
Yeah.
The massive
Yeah.
difference and much more efficient. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, very good.
Nini, have you a question?
So people can unmute themselves now to join in. I suppose the other
Yeah.
thing, which I, must have been interesting, was the perspective you had from being in the water. Like you'd have a completely different view of the whole the whole Shannon than we would ever get. It's like, was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I most of the time I just saw the stern of the Miranda, and the sea nymph behind it, So I didn't see a huge amount. And I mean, they were having a lot more fun than I was having, that's for sure. They're on board, especially Nini, especially the pole dance. Sorry, I didn't mention the pole dance. No, but they were working hard to keep me amused, and it worked. But yeah, from the point of view of the perspective, I mean, yeah, as I said to you earlier on, like you're visually impaired. You can't see, you can't hear, you can't. So you just even coming into Drumineer, Will, I didn't know how many people were there. I really didn't. I was swimming away behind. Leanne was there and seen him. Uh, Thanks to the RNLI, they came just the last bit as well. They came behind us as well, and I saw three people in the water, and I thought they were the people coming to say hello to me, but they were people from the sauna. And it was only when I got out of the water I realized, my God, there's a big crowd here. And then you take off your goggles. My goggles are they're prescription goggles, so at least you can see something. But when you take off my goggles, I can see nothing at all. So I couldn't see anybody. All I saw was my friend Mick with the Tipperary flag. That's why I gave him a big hug, because he's a Kilkenny man, and for him to actually wave the Tipperary flag was a big thing, and so that's why I gave him a hug. So yeah, perspective is very different in the water.
I love it. Yeah, and
Yeah, and actually seeing where you're going as well. You have no idea. You're just totally trusting the team. You have no idea where you're off to. And sometimes I put my head up and I got cross. Where the hell are we? What's going on? Because I thought we'd be a certain point by then, but we weren't there. So they had to coax me along. I got a little tender at times and a little bit bitchy. And a bit of a diva at times as well.
I suppose you're grinding away and you're just in your own headspace, and
Yeah,
you have to keep.
yeah. It can get a little bit difficult.
I can see.
Yeah, just from the point of view of the head, the body held up brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly.
Mm.
And as my coach told me in New Zealand, he said, there's nothing you can do to prepare it. I'll give you your program. And the program he was giving me was, I was swimming 4 times a week, maybe an hour a time. But they were fast. It was fast work. It was hundreds. 5 lengths, then stop, then use the pads, and it was all fast work. And I was saying, Carl, is this going to get me 4 hours, and then a rest, and then another 4 hours? He said, Aiden, you're getting on, and we'll get you there fit, and your body will decide then whether it's going to be able for it or not. That was it. So that's why I said ordinary people can do extraordinary things. You don't know what your body is able for until you try it.
Oh, sorry. Something going on here. Why is that? Just
I think somebody said they can't unmute
yeah,
themselves.
I see that.
Can't
It's
or won't. Can't or won't, Edwina.
okay. Try that now. That
Yeah,
That's
that
working.
worked.
sorry.
Ah,
Yeah, okay.
oh,
This the wonderful system when it works. It's
yeah, great. Philip, how are you?
Aiden,
Great to see you.
well done. It was
Thank you very
fantastic.
much.
What
Thank you
happened
very
at
much.
the end? I mean, you
What
get in
happened?
there. Was it a big anticlimax? And how
Um, Go on.
long did it take you to recover?
Great questions. No, it was totally euphoric when I stood up, and I let a scream out of me that I don't know has anybody seen Hamlet,
Primal.
but sorry, it was an animal scream.
Yeah.
I don't know what emotion it was, but the actual finishing wasn't an anticlimax.
No,
Uh,
the finishing wasn't, but how about the next day?
Yeah. The next day was great because I was bringing the Miranda back to Drummondere and we got loads of beer and we had a lovely time.
Oh,
But the
just
day after that, Philip, and
yeah.
every day since then hasn't been as good. I am in a bit of a slump. I'm not afraid to admit that. The focus is gone a bit. I get fed up after 5 lengths swimming, to answer your question, Sophie, earlier on. I've got up to 50 again, but yeah, I just seem to be a little bit aimless, like just a little bit. And it's 4 months, so maybe it takes a while. But yeah, it took
And
a
how
lot of
about the
time
body?
and a lot of preparation. Pardon, Philip?
How about the body? You know, were you
The
knackered?
body, no, the body was amazing. The body could have just kept going. It really was amazing. Once you have that nutrition every hour, small little bit every hour, you don't go into any slump. And of course, I got the lucky thing, as I said, about the enforced stop. That was at the right time, you know. So I only had to do uh, 3 days after that, and so I got a rest at the right time, you know. But no, the body was not knackered. So
Well
there's
done.
life in the old dogs yet, Philip.
Well, certainly following your father, you certainly are. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip.
Aiden, thank you for a really brilliant talk, and it was great to hear about like the whole team involved as well, and like the village it took and everything, and the conditions you experienced. I like wow, 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 even more of a feat than I understood it to be. If you could snap your fingers and go back into a moment of it, which moment are you picking? Is it something at the end? Is it in the water? Is it a rest in between? If you can just kind of teleport yourself back to 3 minutes of it, which 3 minutes are you popping into?
Wow, that's a great question. I met Paul Little in Ruski, and
Mm,
he basically told me that if people were willing to go with him, he'd go up the next day and start again. And I'd nearly do that. So I'd nearly relive all the minutes except for that minute with Martha across
yeah.
the river. But my favorite, I think, was just how beautiful it was swimming out of Drummondere that morning. I don't know if anybody saw the videos of that, the weather, and I've seen that weather in Drummondere, but I've never been able to have the confidence just to get into the water and swim, like, because I'm not an
Mm.
open water swimmer. I've never been. I don't do open water events. This was the one I wanted, and this was it. I had no idea when I started to swim how I was going to get on. But when I got to Drummondere the next morning, swimming out to the Mountaineer from there in beautiful conditions, I'll never forget.
It was fab.
Brilliant. And some of those mornings in Lochray looked pretty bloody lovely.
Well, the thing about it, the worst part of the whole thing was looking at weather apps and wondering how you're going to get across the lakes. You
Mm,
know, the river was a joy. I mean, the river because we had so much rain. Once we got past those trees, we were flying it. I was doing over 3 kilometers an hour easily, and then you come to the lake and you got the waves and the wind into your face, and you can't get to 2 kilometers. And if you see a white horse, you can't do it. There's no point in going out. So we had to find another way to do it, yeah, and that was difficult. But yeah, the river itself, I mean, loved that, loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, anybody else anything to put to Aiden? Okay, well, sure. We'll wrap it up. So, and a huge thanks to Aidan for that. It was an incredible feat and incredible display of stamina and both physically and mentally. It's quite an undertaking. Um, so
And Yeah, and I just want to thank you for allowing me to relive this with you, and I'm delighted to be able to do it. And I mean, the Shannon One designs are a huge part of the night's lives, you know. And even though I was away from it for so long, the memories of the Shannon One designs is very strong with me. And maybe we'll see now. I'll be going on the website and going on YouTube, as Sophie said. I'll be following it on YouTube, and you'd never know where that might end up leading us, because I've got time on my hands, Philip, at this stage. And I need a new goal.
so yep, just to mention once again the dinner at the end of February, and also next Saturday at 7 o'clock again, when Philip is going to give us a talk on the Roslin and the soda house boats and everything. Yeah, so just to wish everybody a good night and enjoy the weekend, the long weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Aidan.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Well done.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, everybody.